Good morning, Positive Impact Club. Okay, so today is our final installment, day 3 of 3 of the things I learned on my family trip to Arizona. Let's begin with a full, honest disclosure today. Arguably, my biggest fear in life is heights. More specifically, open heights. I can't even step foot onto the roof of my 2-story home without freaking out. I'm talking knee buckling, heart racing, short of breath, full-blown panic attack fear that takes over my body when I'm in open heights. So, obviously there's a pretty long list of things I haven't been able to experience throughout my life because of this fear, and one of them was visiting the Grand Canyon. I mean, can you think of a potentially worse place to visit when you are petrified of open heights? For those of you that aren't familiar with what the Grand Canyon is, let me sum it up this way. It features 4,000 plus foot drop-offs, and because it's miles and miles long, the majority of it does not feature these things called railings. So please allow me to pause here for a moment and ask you to watch a second video this morning when this one's done. About a year ago, Will Smith did an interview in which he shared a story about a recent skydiving adventure. If you go to YouTube and type in Will Smith followed by "the best things in life are on the other side of fear," it's worth the watch. My wife had shared this video with me, and this concept of the greatest things in life being found on the other side of fear last summer, and as I digested it, it made a ton of sense. So last fall, I attended a conference in New York's Hudson Valley, and we stayed at the Mohawk Mountain Resort. And the morning after, a few fellow PIC members, Sam Eubank, Wyatt Savage, James Demmer, Joe Spicer, and myself decided to get out early and hike the Labyrinth Trail, featuring a portion called the Lemon Squeeze. Now, the good news is I did zero research as to what this hike would entail. And if you're curious as to what the bad news is for a guy who is petrified of heights, go ahead and Google Mohawk Mountain plus Labyrinth plus Lemon Squeeze and just view the images. Now, I'll spare you all of the thoughts that rushed through my head that morning, but I will share with you two things. During these scariest moments of that rock climb, as I pushed myself through, I focused on two things exclusively. Number one was my breath, my breathing. I kept it slow and deep and just kept repeating. And number two was my very next step. And that's it. Breathe in, breathe out, move hand, move foot. When we finally reached the top, the views were incredible. You could see 4 different states all at once. However, the view was great, but what made it even better was that I conquered my fear and I made it to the top. And I told the 4 fellow climbers I had gone out with at breakfast that morning that had I known what the hike was going to entail, I wouldn't have showed up that morning. But I was happy I did. Now, back to the Grand Canyon. From Sedona to the Grand Canyon, it's a little over a 3-hour drive each way. The old me would have passed on that road trip, as I would have passed on many of the family hikes and adventures that we went on during our week in Sedona together. However, it was the concept that some of the greatest moments in our lives are on the other side of fear that pushed me through. And I'm so glad that I did. The adventure was absolutely amazing, and if you'd like to see pictures, feel free to check out my Facebook page. They're all in the Arizona album there, and my photos. So, my challenge to you today is to be honest with yourself about what your biggest fears are. Then, ask yourself, what do you need to do to push yourself beyond those fears? Hey, once you do, you just may find that a whole bunch of the amazing things that are waiting for you in life are just beyond that fear.